Colorado's legalization of recreational marijuana is expected to spark a boom in pot sales, but for the state's growers who already produce medical marijuana, it's proving to be a tough business in which to make money. Our Jim Spellman reports.
Like many small businessmen, Sean Gindy has employees, a warehouse, retail stores, and his fair share of headaches.
I make this business work paycheck to paycheck.
But his product is anything but usual. Gindy grows and sells marijuana.
So this is what a flower room looks like.
He grows the cannabis in this warehouse in Denver and has 2 medical marijuana dispensaries in the suburbs.
I have about 20 people working for me. They do anything from growers to trimming to working as caregivers in the stores.
So far, his business has been limited to medical marijuana, selling only to Colorado residents with a doctor's recommendation and state-issued red card. But last year, voters passed Amendment 64, legalizing recreational use of marijuana. The state is still working out regulations ahead of January 2014, when recreational marijuana stores are expected to open. Dispensaries like Gindy's are expected to be able to convert and sell to anyone over 21, but there are several catches.
This is still against federal law. That must create an unbelievable amount of stress for you.
Yes, it does. I'm talking to you right now. There is a voice in the back of my head that there is an innate nervousness to being in this business.
A bill in Congress would bar the federal government from going after people in states that have legalized marijuana, but it's unclear if the bill has a chance of becoming law.
Are you afraid that all that you've built here will be taken away from you?
Yeah. I can't even keep my face straight right now saying that. That's such a real fear.
Nate Lapgard runs the warehouse.
I want to learn more about exactly how you grow marijuana on essentially an indoor farm. So where does it start?
So it starts here in the lab.
With cuttings known as clones.
Get a little gel on there.
That go into these tanks for about 2 weeks, then to this room for about 5 weeks under simulated sunlight in a CO2-rich environment.
Each of these plants gets its own barcode?
That's right. Every single plant, when it comes out of the cloner, once it gets into here, is coded individually. And we're able to trace that plant from this stage all the way to the end product.
Then the light is cut back to simulate the shorter days of autumn, triggering the plants to flower, and finally it's off to be trimmed and dried. The entire process is regulated by the state. After a criminal background check, employees are issued a Colorado marijuana worker ID card. Every time a plant is moved, the employee logs it using this software. A fingerprint scanner tracks the employees at every turn.
There's no Scarface here. There's no AK-47s. There's none of that stuff. We have inspectors from the state in here all the time.
Even though Gindy pays sales and income tax, marijuana is still against federal law, so expenses cannot be deducted from federal taxes, and FDIC-backed banks won't take their money.
There's nothing glamorous about this business. It's a struggle trying to operate without a bank account, trying to run a business without being able to take deductions.
At his dispensary, Gindy operates in a highly competitive marketplace. About 500 medical marijuana dispensaries in Colorado compete for the business of the 108,000 people on the medical marijuana registry.
Have they become more connoisseurs about their marijuana?
Definitely, definitely. You don't ever see quote-unquote swag anymore. It's all chronic, all hydroponic.
Competition has driven prices down to half of what they were just 3 years ago, creating razor-thin margins. But could that change when more people, even pot tourists from out of state, are able to legally buy weed? Gindy isn't so sure.
There's a risk that comes along with it.
That might push the federal government into acting where they were comfortable not acting with medical marijuana.
Right. And I have to make that choice soon.
These marijuana pioneers will probably never convince all of their critics that pot should be legal, but they see themselves as the good guys.
Every single person that comes here that works for me, when they clock in, they put their finger on a sensor, and you know, they're committing a federal crime. So every single person that works in the industry are all here for one reason only. It's because we believe that marijuana prohibition is immoral and that we have to do something about that.
Jim Spellman, CNN, Denver.
And coming up at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, meet some people who have decided to grow their own marijuana legally and hear from the legislator who is going to put some of these rules into place. That's all straight ahead at 3 o'clock Eastern right here on CNN. All right, next up.